Hey everybody, welcome back to WD18, the Watford fan channel. On today's show, it's myself, Jacob Coleshaw, and I'm delighted to be joined, as always, by Sam Yuko. Sam, how are you, sir?
Delighted. Nothing better after an incredible Watford day yesterday. One of the best away days I've been to, so all good here.
Have you changed anything about your Sunday routine after yesterday's result?
I must say it's been a bit of a difficult day because I really hurt my shoulder at the game yesterday. So I was just in front of the telly watching football today. One of the worst games I've ever seen, by the way, with Liverpool United. But no, still was I was buzzing after yesterday, to be honest with you. So yeah, hopefully can make a swift recovery on the shoulder and all be good.
Oh, mate, a speedy recovery. Might need you next week. One thing I would say about those sort of games on a Super Sunday, they get bigged up so much, and then it never, ever seems to hit the heights. Whereas yesterday, we kind of talked about it, like Preston away, big game, and Watford go and do what they had to do. Charlie, quick question. How's the hangover?
What are you talking about? I'm more worried about Sam's shoulder from carrying me for the whole of yesterday. I was just saying to Sam before we went live, as the way day goes, yesterday was an all-timer. Right up there was one of the best I've done. Brilliant day. Finished off with a curry last night in Preston. So, yeah, I've been recovering today, but yeah, yesterday was class.
So 2 questions before I forget. Firstly, what's your curry order?
Normally I'll go for something, it depends about the establishment, but yesterday was an okay establishment, but I stayed safe with a lambuna. I can't remember it, to be honest, really. I can't remember too much of it.
And the second question is, where does that rank as away days? Actually, both of you, where does that rank? The away days you've been to?
It's right up there. It's right up there for me. I think the only one I can think really tops it was like Brighton promotion, 2015, when we went up down there. That was unreal. What other ones did we mention?
I said Everton away last season. I wouldn't say it was as good as Everton just because of the way that last 10 minutes was just absolute carnage, the way we came from behind. But I'd say it's definitely probably in the top 3, along with that Brighton game as well, where we got promoted.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was very jealous of the lads for being there yesterday. I didn't make the trip to Preston, but we will get into that very, very shortly. Preston 1, Watford 5. But before we do that, obviously there was some really, really distressing scenes at Vitality yesterday. Luton Town captain Tom Lockyer suffering a cardiac arrest on the pitch. He was responsive by the time he was taken off on the stretcher and is now undergoing tests and scans according to Luton's official statement and is awaiting the results before the next steps for his recovery are determined. And yeah, we just wanted to send our thoughts to Tom, his family, everyone connected with Luton Town Football Club after what we saw yesterday. And Tom, we wish you all the best and hope you make a full and speedy recovery as soon as possible. So yeah, best wishes to everyone there. Okay, on to the game at Deepdale. As I said, where it finished, Preston 1, Watford 5. Sam and Charlie were both in the away and see Watford score 5 goals for the second time this season. Obviously, we scored 5 at home to Rotherham. And the first time away from home since the 5-2 win away against Everton in October 2021. Sam, just how good was it yesterday? Because the first half, I have to say, watching from home, I was feeling on edge a little bit. Second half, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. How well we were playing was genuinely incredible.
I don't think I've ever seen a second half performance quite like that from Watford. I didn't think the first half was bad, to be honest with you. I think we definitely played a lot better. We had the chances to go ahead in the game. Bayo missed a couple of good chances. Kone missed an opportunity. We have to thank Ben Hamer down the other end for making a few fantastic saves, which we'll touch on as well. But the second half, quite literally from minute 1 in the first half, what we saw was just absolutely unbelievable. It was the definition of letting the handbrake off. I think that we probably sensed blood, that Preston for some reason just didn't come out in the second half. But I think all the credit has to go for us. We were aggressive on the ball, aggressive off the ball. We were clinical. We were ruthless, which are words that Valerian Ismail's used quite a lot as well. And it was just fantastic. It was special to see. The connection was back with the fans and just absolutely delighted. I said it on the instant match reaction, but I just feel such a sense of pride when I'm watching this Watford team. And maybe it's because of how difficult the last few years have been to be a Watford fan. But for the first time in a long, long time, I just love this Watford team again. And that's the most important thing for me.
What was it about yesterday, Sam, that made you feel that way?
Like I said, I think it was just the handbrake going off and it was the belief was there. And you could see a group of players out there who, A, wanted to be there on what was a difficult game. Again, we go 1-0 down, the heads didn't drop. They kept on believing, they kept on playing. So they believed in themselves that they could get back into it, but they also showed that they're very good footballers when they put their mind to it and when in the right system. And for me, all the credit for that goes to Valérien Ismaël, because other managers, we've mentioned that the players have been the problem in the past, which they were, as well as the ownership, but very few managers have got a tune out of these players. And Valérien Ismaël, while it's not perfect at all, there's still a lot to be worked on. And it's huge that we've come out of a game which we won 5-1, and I still think there are things to be worked on, which is a huge credit to this Watford side. But the fact that he's got us playing this well, as Geordie says in the comments, it's the most likeable team and most likeable manager since Javi Gracia, I think, in 2019. That might be a big statement. If you disagree, feel free to let me know in the comments. But I think that's what I'm enjoying the most at the moment.
Charlie, to throw it over to you, mate, as someone who was also there yesterday. Just overall assessment of that Watford performance in general, just from start to finish, if you can.
We were devastating in that second half. I think the thing that impressed me the most was just not stopping, being that relentless, going for it, keep on going for it, because we know what it's like in the Championship. Every team's good. I mean, Preston are like 6th in the table. When you go 2-1 away, you're thinking, can you just hold on to this lead? Can you protect the win? But the fact that we were able to move them about, create space, and don't get me wrong, I don't think they were great, but we moved them about with absolute ease in the spaces we were creating from the rotations. I think a mixture of when that team news dropped, a lot of people were raising a few eyebrows, but 4 changes, and then during the second half, Al made 4 changes, which was pretty wild. I think we went to like a 5-3-2 with Bayo and Rayo up top and Porto as a wing back, but we could have got scored 6 or 7. I even forgot about that Wesley Hoot free kick right at the end. Yeah, so good to watch. Attacking football, clinical. Let's hope long may it continues.
So, watching from afar, that first half was a really weird one, because on another, like the reaction from Watford, I thought was good going behind Sam. We did have opportunities. I think of that cross to Hoot and Bayo at the back post that we didn't convert. I think of Kayembe's ball through to Bayo where he's gone around the keeper and probably could have actually done a lot more. And it was good defending in the end from Preston. But then you flip it around and Miller scores, and also they had quite a few opportunities. So going into the break, was 1-1 a fair result?
I think it was, yeah. I think both teams missed opportunities, and both teams took one opportunity each, really. I think, like you say, I've watched it back, and I think it was actually brilliant defending to get Bayo's effort off the line. I also think he probably should score at the back post. I haven't seen that chance yet, but it looked like he should have scored there. But down the other end as well, I think we probably rode our luck at times. And like I say, we have to thank Ben Hamer, my man of the match yesterday. Bit weird thinking that we scored 5 goals, and I still think our goalkeeper was the man of the match. But you tweeted it, Jacob. If it wasn't for Ben Hamer's first half performance, that gave us a platform to go on to win the game. So I think a draw was probably a fair result going into half time. But you can't argue the balance of the whole game. 100% we deserved it.
Ben, we'll get on to the second half in just a moment. Charlie, Ben Hamer, we've got to touch on him. First half, made some big saves straight from the off as well. Is this where you're getting the stat sheet up?
Yeah, I can do. I wanted to ask about the game as a whole, because I'm looking at I'll get the old momentum bar out, but you can see here.
Sorry, every time Charlie tees up the momentum bar, I always think of that intro where off the cuff I just said Charlie momentum bar's a 0.
No. Yeah, the new darts name. It's that time of year, isn't it? What do you guys think of this? Because I'm looking at this, and I thought, especially in the second half, we had more possession, and I didn't think Preston were a threat at all. And this kind of looks like it was pretty fairly matched first half. We responded well, you can see, after we conceded. Second half, it looks like they got a few spells, but maybe those bars aren't high enough, and we were just ruthless, as you can see, every time we go through. What did you think, Jacob, watching it in terms of dominating possession?
I thought in the second half we had more control than we did in the first half. I felt Preston were probably stretched to say dictating, but they probably looked the more threatening going forwards, and we were kind of hitting them on the break, and we were getting a lot of joy on the transition. And then it was towards the end of the first half where it led to the goal with Hoot's little dummy, which was lovely, and the cross where I felt that we were starting to maybe just move it a little bit better than we were in the first 25, like the first half, if that makes sense. And in the second half, I thought we were relatively in control of the game. I don't think the momentum bar really tells the whole story on that, because despite maybe Preston, I don't know, maybe having a bit more of the ball, and a lot of our goals were coming on the break, and when it opened up a bit, I think of the ones obviously straight from kickoff, which opened up for us. I think of Kone's pass or Kone's goal, and then Kone's pass for that goal. The first one, I think of Kone's goal as well, running out of goals. But the point was, I think in the second half we had a lot more control of the game.
Yeah, it felt like that.
Did you? Charlotte does say momentum bars don't lie.
Nah, trust the eye test. But looking at the stats, 3.28 XG. That's pretty impressive away from home. But the fact we scored 5 shows that our shooting from distance is from distance. You can see our shot map here, where all the goals and shots are coming from. Really impressive. So possession, you can see here, they only edged it slightly. I think, like we talked about, 6 big chances away from home is really impressive. But this one here, goals prevented, 3.11. And that's all down to this man, Ben Hamer. Let's get his stats up here. During the game, 9 saves. Like I said, goals prevented, 3.11, 2 punches. So made good contacts in the areas. Completed one run out of 1, 2 claims, saved inside the box. 74% pass accuracy, 2 clearances, aerial duels 1-2. If when we do player rating, sometimes if it was Ben Hamer, I'd definitely given him a 10.
I think what it doesn't mention as well there on the stat sheet, Sam, is the moments in which he made the game, as we touched upon. I think in the first half we were 1-0 down, even at 0-0, 1-0 down, 1-1 to keep us there. He has really stepped up, hasn't he? I mean, I have to say, I didn't expect the performances he's now producing in a Watford shirt at any point, did you?
No, 100% not. It was earlier in the season, I think it was Stevenage away, and I thought he looked a bit shaky, to be honest with you. There was also that game against Norwich at home where you're thinking he could have done a bit better, I think, with their second goal. But since then, just absolutely fantastic. Holloway won us the game. I'd even say yesterday he won us the game or played a huge role in us winning that. Obviously, with Batman coming out of the team, that position at Watford's under quite a lot of scrutiny at the moment, a lot of controversy around the 5-year deal, him having the captain's armband. Is the backup goalkeeper good enough? And the answer 100% is the backup goalkeeper, or now rather the starting goalkeeper, is 100% good enough. I still think it's an area to look at in January, but for now, I think he's done a fantastic job, and all credit to him. Another thing that the stat doesn't take into account is the quality of the saves as well. I look at the first half, the header from Story, I think it was. He seemed to react quite late, I think it was. React quite late and shift over quite late, but he managed to scoop out of the top corner. The double save from Potts as well, I think it was, that was touched on here by Philip, was absolutely fantastic, and one that sort of went under the radar because it was the last kick of the game. I think the free kick and literally the last second was fantastic save as well. So all the credit in the world to Ben Hamer. Really hoping he keeps it up because I like it. Oh, here we go. Super
Here we go. Rio says, Charlie, that was one of the best performances I've seen in a Watford shirt from a goalkeeper.
Yeah, can you guys remember of I was hark back again to like Aurelio Gomez away at Bolton.
Bolton away, yeah.
I'm trying to think of any other outstanding. We must have had a few. And get in the comments any other standout Watford goalkeeping performance. The only thing I'd say, I haven't felt 100% comfortable like for the Ipswich game, like with the Norwich game. It was his best performance by a mile. Like I said, it's hard to recruit a goalkeeper, so I know Lou Orns tweeted today that a goalkeeper wasn't a position that we're looking in January, but he's doing great. Hopefully he can keep up this form, but I wouldn't say he's been kind of outstanding since he's come in, but hopefully this is going to give him even more confidence. And what was lovely to see at the end of the game, just like Sam mentioned, that connection between the players and the fans. And at the end of the game, we were down the front, the players pushing kind of Ben Hamer to get his flowers, and all the players like giving the shirts to the young kids. One of my mates, Boy Finley. I know Russ is probably watching, listening. He normally does in the bath, which is a bit weird. But Finley got a Bio shirt, so that's going to be a memory that he's going to treasure forever. Yeah, and like Sam said, that connection. I feel that connection with the team now. We do need to keep it up and hopefully have that consistency, because I do think three defeats in a row, and then I think we're still quite fragile. But what Val's done has been fantastic, and now I've got a slight bit of optimism about Blackburn.
Do you know what's a great point about the players coming over at full time? Because it gets a lot of scrutiny, I think, as fans, especially when you go to away games like Preston. It's just around the corner from Christmas, an amazing turnout. And obviously it makes it easier when you've won 5-1, all the players are going to come over. But I think you're seeing this more at the end of the game as well. Everyone's going around as a group. I think if you maybe hark back to when, this time last year under either Bilic or Edwards or Wilder, you felt like it was having to be forced a little bit for players to come round. Whereas now everyone is having to do it, and they want to do it as well. And I think you saw it with Andrews and Kone pushing Kiembe, as you said, Hamer getting his flowers. So no, it was really, really good to see it.
That's another thing that makes Ismail Kone such a legend. He is brilliant at celebrating. Full-time whistle goes, he just makes a beeline for the away end, just celebrating, going nuts. He's got some great. I'm sure there's a picture in the dressing room I saw somewhere of him kind of showing that passion. I absolutely love that kid.
He's the man, isn't he? He's so good. He's so good. And you can see why Watford paid the money they did for a player of that quality. Couple of questions. I mean, one I'm going to raise straight away in the bath. Now, I'm going to throw it over to the comment section. Where do you watch your WD18 streams, or where do you listen? We've had the bath. Can that be topped on a regular basis? Now, Sam, do you have any intel of where people watch this show?
It's a difficult one, that.
John Mooney from the Rooker End told me he watches it. He was watching it making dinner once, and I thought, okay, that I can get behind that. Maybe just having it on the side as a bit of background noise, maybe.
Cooking. It's cooking.
Is that foul?
That's what Val's doing at the moment. Let him cook. I haven't think about that.
Mum and Dad's kitchen. I mean, look, let us know. We want to hear some of the most the Rio's in the bath. Tell you what, everyone's watching the bath. Do you know what? Just back onto Hamer quickly. Luans, Hamer looks a lot calmer, and it feels like that's translated into the defence. I think that's a really good point, the effect it can have on the two centre-backs in front of him, particularly someone like Porteous. I know he didn't play yesterday. With a player like Porteous, he can play everything at 100 miles an hour sometimes, and I feel having a keeper like that in Ben Hamer will calm it down a little bit. And Bachmann, as he mentions, does have a bit of a emotional personality in goal. He's very much a confidence player, Bachmann, I think. So that's something definitely to mention. There was one comment up here just on Hamer before we get back onto the game. It was, here we go, Mark, thank you so much, mate. Hamer has really cemented his place in the team now. But at 36 years old, what are we going to do going forwards? There was another comment up here about it from Ian saying, stand back and watch the ripples. Hamer, number one, get a decent backup in and sell Bachmann. Sam, what do you make of that goalkeeper situation now?
Yeah, it's a really, really weird one, because it feels strange still coming off the back of a fantastic performance like that and saying we need one in January. I still think we should get going and get a starting goalkeeper in January. We've mentioned Hamer's age there. I know it's slightly different for goalkeepers, but I still think we could probably upgrade in that area. Like I say, it was brilliant yesterday. I still think there are some nervy moments in there, like the Norwich game as well. The Ipswich game, there are a couple of nervy moments too. So I still think it's an area we should be addressing in January. But I think personally today, I think we just dwell on how good Hamer was yesterday and how good he's been for the last couple of weeks. But yeah, I think Dan Bachmann is probably, it won't shock me if he's looking at the exit door at the moment and looking for a way out in January, because I think he probably senses it. I think it's more than likely that his place in the team is done now, to be honest with you.
Barry in the comment section, thanks so much, mate. Having breakfast here in New Zealand. Love you keeping us out of the country up to date. I'm surprised and pleased the amount of shots they're putting in from outside the box.
I wanted to touch on that, actually, because I was going to talk about it when Charlie put the shot map up. But what we're seeing at the moment is there was that training video that came out 2, 3, 4 weeks ago now of Valérien Ismaël in training, going through all the goals that we'd scored from long distance. He said something like, look at Kiembe's goal against Rotherham and that sort of thing. And since then, we've seen us score from outside the box in most games since then. We've seen Wes Hoot score from the halfway line, 2 goals yesterday from outside of the box. And what I've seen from that, you can see here from the shot map, so many shots outside of the box, is that they're listening to what Val's saying in training, taking it on board and implementing it onto their style of play. And not only does it show some absolute bangers that we're seeing this season, I think it was mentioned actually when we did the video with the Barnsley and West Brom fans, they said you're going to see some fantastic goals with Valérien Ismaël as your manager, because he just wants his midfielders to take shots. But I'm just pleased because it's showing that they're really taking on board what the manager's saying in training.
Yeah, for sure. I think you look at the goals yesterday and the quality of the goals, and it does echo that, Sam. We go into the second half, Charlie. 17 seconds is what it took for Mateus Martins to put us in front. What changed in the second half from that first one?
Just before going to the second half, on Bio's equaliser, Wesley Hoot's assist is unbelievable. He's fine. He's like in the kind of half space, and he goes to put a cross in, sells the defender down the road, and then puts a lovely delivery that Bio just knocks in. So I just wanted to give Wesley Hoot some praise because that assist was great.
And I wanted to give Bio some praise as well, because one thing I thought about his performance yesterday that was better than usual was his movement off the ball. And he was actually pointing to everyone saying, look, I want it there. Give it to me there. Hoot puts it on a plate. But he made the movement, just dropping off the defender. And even in the second half of Kiembe's pass, he's pointing at Edo Kiembe, give me the ball here. And as he said on his Instagram post, you freed the crow and he will score. Charlie, second half, what changed?
What changed? Well, it was an interesting tactic from Preston from the off, wasn't it? To forget. But again, I think that early goal was massive. What was it, 17 seconds? Ismaël Kone's pass, unbelievable. Like he's now putting that end product into his game, which is taking him to another level. And you know what? That's a really, really good, smart finish. It's not an easy chance at all. You can see that's why we're overperforming the XG from Martins. So I'm happy for Martins. I thought he'd done okay yesterday. He had his chance and thought he did pretty well. But yeah, I thought that goal was great. And then after that, Watford were 2-1 and we were just comfortable winning possession, moving people about, and the floodgates open. And me and Sam was doing a lot of crow celebrations, running up and down the stairs. It was brilliant. But yeah, I just think second half, and for me, like Edinho, as you said, Edo Kiembe was maybe second man of the match for me. I think the quality that he's got on the ball, he's so calm. Won that Bio chance he should have scored outside of the boot, straight into his path. And then just in possession throughout the game, he was brilliant. Obviously got his goal, got that lovely assist for Bio as well. But Edo Kiembe in that position, Val's really getting the most out of him. So I don't think anyone in the video when we said our predictions for the season would have had Kiembe for that much of an important player. But yeah, brilliant performance from Edo.
So much so that I've actually changed my Twitter bio to Edo Kiembe enthusiast. Some people are saying Edu De Bruyne. We've had Edinho. But on a serious point, Sam, the redemption arc of Edo Kiembe since he's joined Watford is incredible. When you actually look back to when he first joined in that January under Ranieri, January 2022, he came in. I think Ranieri and Hodgson didn't know his best position. He'd played more advanced in Belgium at UPenn as a number 10 and someone who actually got quite a few goals in that position. For some reason, he was then kind of shoehorned into this number 6 role. But Val is playing in as this out-and-out 8 with Kone and Livermore just sitting off. And we're seeing the best of him. What is it about his performance that's really, really come on?
I think you said it perfectly there. It's just, I think we found the perfect position with him with the perfect midfield trio in terms of him, Kone, Livermore. I think they all just complement each other so well. They're all working incredibly hard, both on and off the ball for each other. I think the slight concern comes from Livermore could be slightly injury prone, like we've seen over the last couple of weeks, and Kiembe's going off to AFCON in January, February time. And who would have thought that we'd be gutted to be losing Edinho during that period? But I just think it's the confidence, because like you say, Jacob, I think he's been in and out of the team since he came in. He made his debut at Newcastle away in January 2021, 2022. I can't remember which one it was.
2022.
2022, yeah, in the Premier League season. And I remember there were glimpses that day that he looked like a decent player, but then we just never really saw him kick on. And you think, how is he still at the club? And then all of a sudden this season, he's just turned up and been absolutely fantastic. So huge credit to him. I just think, again, I keep on talking about the intangibles, but I just think it all comes down to the intangibles, because it's having confidence, effort and belief, I think then leads to doing well tactically and doing well in the system. And I think that's what we're seeing of Kiambi at the moment.
I think he epitomises everything right about this Watford team at the minute, Charlie. The sort of confidence and that kind of like cool arrogance, just, pop a shot off from 25 yards. Like, when was the last time we saw players doing that? And that's credit to Val, isn't it? I guess, really, the fact that he's created this environment where players feel comfortable enough to express themselves, actually playing their best football. They're being encouraged to do that. Maybe it was over the last few seasons, the environment. We never really saw players do that. Maybe there might have been an individual bit of brilliance, but I can't remember the last time I saw a team take as many shots from range like the Watford team that is playing now.
Yeah, credit to Val. He's developing players as well. He's been really impressive, to be honest. But yeah, Saturday night, and I like the way he moves.
Do you know what? We had a comment from... What's your thoughts on the Kiambi chant? I'm kind of feeling we need to move it on a little bit.
Completely agree. Get mine going. I want to dance with Kiambi. Charlie's shaking his head there.
Unbelievable. There was one comment there's one on Jake Livermore about his role yesterday. Callum said, easy to forget Livermore yesterday. Kone and Kiambi obviously get the headlines, and rightly so. They were unreal. But Jake's been different class. So good to have a real leader in the side. And I think the main thing to say about this, Callum, is the fact that Livermore frees those two guys to go up. They don't have to worry as much defensively. They're allowed to express themselves and attack and go forwards. And I guess that moves on to the rest of the goals in the second half, Sam. Which is your pick of the bunch? Or do you want to talk us through all of them?
Yeah, so 3-1 was Kiambi. Like we mentioned, there was a fantastic run forward. And absolutely smashed it into that bottom corner. Carnage in the away end as well, which was amazing. Lovely as well that 4 of the 5 goals were in front of the away end, and the players celebrated right in front of the fans as well. I think, again, that makes a huge thing for the connection with the fans. One of my football irritations generally is I don't get when an away team scores in front of the away fans and don't celebrate in front of the away fans. It really annoys me. Side point. That might be one for football cliches in the future. But
Sam, can you show me? Sam, can you show me what a griddy is? I
I'll tell you what. If we get to 100 likes, there's 104 people watching this live. If we get to 100 likes, Sam, are you going to do the griddy on camera?
I'll do the griddy on camera if we get to 100 likes.
100 likes.
There's the promise.
He's going to do a Mateus Martins griddy on camera.
There you go. That's your incentive to like it. Martins was brilliant yesterday, by the way, particularly in that second half. I'd actually say the 4th goal was the pick of the bunch for me. It was a ball from Bayo. He was quite deep, just in front of the halfway line, plays it through, I think, to Kiambi. For some reason, the Preston players were like statues. But the run forward from Bayo straight after that, Kiambi slices the ball through. It was a fantastic pass, and Charlie said it yesterday to me in the away, and Bayo's finish was Thierry Henry-esque. Just managed to whip it round the goalkeeper. I think got fingertips on it, but it was so perfect, the shot from the Crow. Just giving the Ballon d'Or already. I've never seen a better footballer in my life than Bakun Bayo. What a guy. And then the 5th goal was Kone, just on the counter-attack, just absolutely smashed it. I mean, I think the goalkeeper will be slightly disappointed, but I think it was the power that beat him, to be honest with you. But wow, what a day. 5 fantastic goals. Pick of the bunch for me was number 4, the movement from Bayo, the pass from Kiambi. What about you two? What would you go for?
Charlie?
Kone for me, just because it just shows like everything about him as a player, kind of good on the ball, beats a man, and then just powers it home. And then, he had another interesting celebration, which I will not be copying. But yeah, one player also. 200 likes, I do. But one player that I wanted to give a shout out was Tom Dele-Bashiru. Played it right back. Maybe could have done better in that 1v1 against Liam Miller for the goal. But I thought his role was really interesting. You saw him inverting a lot, and you saw how comfortable he was receiving it in midfield. And I thought our build-up yesterday was the best it's been in a while. But having his composure in the middle meant we can build out really well. So to play in that position is not easy, but I think he had a decent performance.
I think one thing to mention about Tom Delly, he mentioned this in this post-match as well, is that the way Val plays the two fullbacks, it's not that too different for a midfielder, because when on the ball, obviously you're inverted, which a lot of coaches are doing now. He did say he found it a little bit difficult defensively. And I think Miller on the left-hand side was, as you say, Charlie, causing him problems. What I was surprised with Preston was the fact that Miller went onto the other side in the second half. I felt as soon as that happens, that was a great move for us. I was surprised Ryan Lowe did that, because Miller was causing us troubles down that flank, and you could clearly see they were targeting that side. First it was Dan Gosling, now it's Tom Delly Bashiru as a converted centre midfielder into a right back. I just wanted to just expand on Kone there, Sam, because we mentioned Kayembe, Livermore. Nick says it in the comment section, he is an animal, frightening ability, only going to get better. He's looking the real deal, Kone. I mean, we've got a serious player here. And I know you tweeted that out yesterday.
Yeah, I have to credit you two, by the way, because you two both saw it a lot quicker than me. It took some time it did take some time for Ismail Kone to convince me, to be honest with you. I always thought that there was some sort of player there, but I just think it took some time for him to bed into English football. Obviously, last season, there were so many mitigating factors. I don't think it was the best place for any player to develop. But this year under Val, we've just seen him kick on massively. He's found his best position, I think. He's playing with confidence. Canada's Young Player of the Year this week, I think, as well, he got announced as. So huge credit to him. A threat going forward, a threat in both boxes defensively as well. So, yeah, what a guy. What a personality as well. You can tell, I think he's really enjoying his time at the club, really building that connection with the fans. He's always the first one to celebrate at full time when we win. In front of the away end or in front of the rookery as well. So loving watching Kone at the moment.
Go on, Charlie.
Yeah, I didn't have too much time today, so I've stolen Luke's stats, so thanks for that, mate. But this is just off FB Ref, and it shows Ismail Kone, how he compares to other midfielders in the Championship this season. And you can see a lot of green. I'll look at the shot creating actions, 3.76 per 90. His progressive carries, right up there, 2.7. I think that's one of the best bits of his game. Successful take-ons, his highest one, 1.88. And then in the defensive, not as strong, but blocks, he's on 1.64. And I think his pressing and off-the-ball work is
quite
brilliant.
fast.
Yeah. I think he's fast, a good tackler. And I sent him a text yesterday saying, I love you. And he said he loves us too. So I'll probably get a restraining order very soon. But, I was saying we should do, if we have a good one for the Bristol City game when we're at the Mad Squirrel, try and do a FaceTime with him to see if he'll answer if he has a good game. So, Ishmael, you know what to do. I love you.
I love him too. I'll tell you what, he looks like he's enjoying his football as well. And there's a lot of these Watford players are as well. We mentioned Kone. We mentioned that midfield. Bio, wanted to dedicate a section to him. I know we touched on him. I know we mentioned the 2 goals. On another day, probably could have had a hat-trick. There's been a lot of chat about the Watford striker situation between Melita Rajovic and Vakoum Bio. Sam, has he done enough there to cement his spot as our first choice? Is it too reactionary to say that after one good game, or do you still adjust it based on the performances?
It's a difficult question, that. I think for now, he's probably done enough to cement himself there. I think generally for the way we want to play, I think he's probably slightly better than Rajovic. He's a better presser. I think he's more aggressive than Rajovic off the ball. I just think if only he was a better finisher, I genuinely think we'd have such a complete striker there. He's actually quite good in the air as well, I've discovered. We saw that yesterday with a header as well. Obviously, he nodded it down the other day for Reece Healy against Southampton. So he's proven to be really, really good. For now, I think he's definitely cemented his starting place, but I still think we need to get another striker in January. On another day, again, I don't want to sound negative here, but if Ben Hamer has an off day and Preston managed to get 2 or 3 goals in that first half, we're ultimately ruining those missed opportunities from Bayo in the first half. It's all if, buts and maybes, but I still think, again, the fact that I'm looking at things to improve on having 1-5-1 is a good sign in this Watford team, but it should have been more. We should have scored more in the first half, and I think that comes down to Bayo perhaps needing to be a bit more clinical. But I don't want to dwell on the negatives. He was absolutely fantastic, particularly in the second half. That movement for his second goal, the 1-2 from the halfway line, finding the space. Like you said, Jacob, he was pointing to where he wanted the ball and he got it every time. So it was absolutely fantastic. And I think he's done enough for now to cement his place in the team.
What does this result mean, Charlie, in terms of this Watford team? What have you, coming away from Deepdale, obviously we're ecstatic with the win. As Sam mentioned, there were some defining moments in the game that Watford ultimately dominated in that respect in terms of saves from Ben Hamer and our finishing at the other end. The defining moments in the match, Watford's delivered. The question in the title is, could Watford make the playoffs? Is that too soon to suggest that? We put it out on our socials. We said, look, Watford, do you think they'll make the playoffs? Agree or disagree? Now, let us know in the comment section. If you're listening to this back, let us know in the comments. Charlie, what do you reckon?
I think it was a bit of a statement win. I think when that score goes out on Soccer Saturday, I think other people go, blimey, that's a big result if you look at Preston's position. I think on Tuesday, I thought if we beat Ipswich, that would have been a big statement, and we weren't far off. Am I right in saying the stats are last 12 games, we've lost 2 against Ipswich and Leicester? That's a sizable chunk of the season. We've manoeuvred ourselves in a really, really good position where we're 4 points off the playoffs. Is that right?
Yeah.
With Blackpool coming up before Christmas. So if we can navigate Blackpool. If we can navigate, it's going to be fascinating to see what we do in January to see if they're going to go for it or not. There's a conversation to be had there. You don't want to rock the boat too much, and the culture that Val's created is so good. You don't want to just start throwing players in there to try and chase something. You want to create something that's more kind of authentic. But for me, my gut's saying it's too soon. It's a season too soon. I think if we can carry on providing these performances, and there's going to be some games that we're going to lose. I think if we just have a really positive season where we're 10th around that mark, and then we've had a season under Val, we know exactly his style of play. We're recruiting for his style of play in January and then in the summer. And then I want to be going into next season thinking we've had a brilliant season last season. Now with a couple of more additions, the players know Val's system even more, then we can go for it. So for me, I don't think we're going to make the playoffs this season. What do you two reckon?
Sam, we're 5 points off 6th currently.
I think it's too soon, to be honest with you. I think we've got a chance, but it all hinges on the January transfer window. How confident I am with everything going on behind the scenes, I probably wouldn't say I'm too confident that we'll get the business done, as things do still seem to be a bit messy behind the scenes. Cristiano Gioretta now going. Obviously, we know about Ben Manga going. Gianluca Nani's back on the scene. So I still think things are a bit unclear behind the scenes. And looking at evidence of the last few January transfer windows, last season we needed a striker. We signed a Rouge and a Sombalonga who didn't do too much throughout the season. So if we have a good January transfer window and we're able to keep up the consistency like we have over the last 12 games, then I don't see why we won't get playoffs, to be honest with you. But I just think it's too soon, like you say, Charlie. But I'm trying to not to think about it too much because I'm just enjoying the ride at the moment. I think there's an element where the pressure's off the players at the moment as well. Obviously, the expectation is getting playoffs, but I think the fact that we're not going into every game as favourites, I think is helping in a way, if that makes sense. And I'm just enjoying the ride, enjoying Val ball, and I'm just hoping that we can continue to see the development at the moment that we have over the last 6 months or so.
I think I agree with you guys. If I had to guess, I'd probably say no. I think the main thing is we're having this debate, and the split in answers is only a good thing because what a really good surprise that we're actually having this conversation. Number one, after the start we had. Number two, after Val was given that new contract and we had Sunderland away. And from that point, we've won 6, drawn 4, lost 2. And the 2 defeats came against the top 2 in Leicester City and Ipswich. And in both, more so in the Ipswich game, we could have arguably got a point in that game. Leicester, we deserved to lose. But I think ultimately we're having this conversation. And if you had said to me at the start of the season that we'd be in and around this sort of mix, I think top 10 is the aim from my point of view. I predicted 14th at the start of the season because I didn't really know what to expect. But if you said to me now that Watford would finish top 10 and then we could build on it for next season, I think that would be a really good return, especially when you look at, as Sam mentioned, what's going on behind the scenes. You know, when Val came in, it wasn't just a task of get these players playing. He had to get rid of so many players, then manage the ones he's already got, improve the ones he's already got with everything, as you say, is going on in the background with Manga leaving, Gioretta, etc. So I think that the fact we're even having this conversation is a really good sign. Sorry, Sam, you're going to say something.
Yeah, I want to touch on that Sunderland away game now, 12 games ago, or whatever it was. I look back to the promotion under Xisco Munoz, and we were sat here at the end of the season having been promoted. And I remember you asked me what was the best result of the season. And I said it was that 0-0 draw away at Coventry, where we were absolutely terrible that day. I think we played 4-4-2. Don Goodman was on co-coms and absolutely slated the Watford performance. But I reflected at the end of the season and said that was the turning point and the best result of the season, because what that caused was the switch to the 4-3-3. We went on to beat Bristol City 6-0, went on an amazing run, got promoted. I think that if we are in and around the playoffs come the end of the season, I think we're going to look back on that Sunderland away game and go, obviously not the defeat itself, but that would have been the defining moment come the end of the season, because I can't remember exactly what happened, but Val kept them all in the dressing room at full time, seemed to tell them all a few home truths and said, look, this is rubbish. And since then, it's just completely changed. And I think the credit has to go to him there for the man management and the squad management.
I think also, Charlie, when we look back on it, and we're very much talking like this is a season review, but Watford have come quite a long way in a short space of time. When you think back to that Sunderland game, that was the game after Val was given a new contract. That felt like the game where, on another season, Val would have gone. I think we were sat here on this stream going, oh God, how long has he got left? If he loses Sheffield Wednesday, and I watched our post-match pint after that game, and we talked about Watford being in a relegation battle, which obviously mathematically is still possible, but I mean, we're not going down. The second thing is the performance. Sam, you said the line, it was our worst of the season. And I think, Charlie, you mentioned that you want to see more bravery from this team. And everything that we wanted to see from Watford from that moment, we've seen. So, yeah, I guess just looking ahead, what's the sort of feeling you have going into games? Because I feel like we can give anyone in this league a decent game.
Yeah, just buzzing to have Watford back, really. Like yesterday, I was pretty confident. I did predict us to win, so up the prediction league I go. But yeah, it's just enjoyable to watch, isn't it? And now you get a feeling that we know even if we lose. I felt after the Ipswich game, the way the fans responded to the team after we conceded, we didn't get on their backs. We were cheering them to go and get another one, clapped them all off. And I just think Val has done an unbelievable job with this group of players, and players like Matthias Martins, he might be thinking, oh, how am I not playing? I'm the best player. But you could tell that the culture, he's got his head down. And even yesterday, he's come in and performed really well. So I'm just more and more impressed by what Val's done. It's going to be interesting to see who he brings in January. But yeah, I'm just excited. I think Sam's right. I don't think we should go into games going, this is a must-win game. Just go, enjoy it, and then let's have a conversation in March, April to see where we are and what our ambitions are. But yeah, I'm just loving it. And Sam's trying to twist my arms, go to Bristol City. I might be going QPR. So it's good to be back.
Oh, mate, it's so good to be back. I was even having a look at whether I could get Blackburn tickets, but they've sold out. I've had an absolute shocker here, honestly.
Just walk in the gates, mate. It's the most empty stadium in the UK. Just walk in the home end and just come round.
I guess one thing to say, there was actually two things I thought of when you mentioned that, Charlie. Number one, I thought Martins looked a lot better from the right, was what I would say. I think when he's not having to cut in, it feels like he's one of those players. He's good with both feet. Like, I think he can play either side. I feel like when he plays on the left, it limits him a little bit because he tends to just always cut in. Whereas I feel like on the right, it gives him the option of going either side a little bit more. The second thing I was going to say, Sam, these are 2 points which is just totally not related at all to each other. But do you think the January transfer window from Val, who will have a lot of influence this window from what we're reading, depends on the motivations and ambitions of this team? Because if we're thinking playoffs, do you think we'll go a little bit more out in the window?
Yeah, I think definitely. I think obviously there's the short-term picture and the long-term picture. I think the long-term picture is, like you said before, Jacob, we're not going to want to shake things up too much. We've got a really good group here for the first time in a long time. It's a group full of good eggs, I think. But the short term, if we are aiming for playoffs, which I think they're going to be looking at and thinking that we should be aiming for playoffs, I think we've got to bring that striker in. I think we've got to bring that central midfielder in, and we've got to bring that goalkeeper in as well, which I think goes nicely onto what Luke tweeted earlier, Jacob, if you want to bring that up now, in terms of plans for the January transfer window.
Yeah,
And
Go on.
I am almost finished with the prep work for 5 players Watford should sign. So hopefully we can get that out. I think I've got 2 more players to go. So a little spoiler, there is a Brazilian coming in January.
I tell you what, scrap Momentum Bars' era. It's Y Scouts' era. This man, incredible scenes. This is the sort of content that if you subscribe to WD18, you get to see. So Luon's, a lot of mentions for Luke today. Thanks so much, mate. So he put a tweet out, and Luke's pretty reliable, well, really reliable when it comes to this sort of thing. So he said, Watford are looking to bring in 3 players in January. Goalkeeper's position, not thought to be one of them, will be revisited in the summer. Imran Loser and Reece Healy, unsurprisingly, likely to depart. We touched on that first line about sort of the position and the goalkeeper position. Charlie, Loser and Healy. Loser's getting a lot of heat in the chat. That's the second game in a row he's been dropped out the squad. Obviously, he's going to be off to the African Cup of Nations with Morocco, or you'd expect him to be anyway, as will Kayembe. I think it's probably a sign that Val's now in charge, isn't it? The way this Lose situation's kind of panned out.
Yeah, when we predicted our player of the seasons, I think I went Imran Loser, so that went well. I should, again, just going on to saying with Val, his decision making, his consistency to hold his bottle and drop a player like Loser, especially when he's kind of under pressure. Fair play. You got to back the manager. So yeah, a shame Loser hasn't worked out. Came with a big fee for whatever reason. He's had some bad injuries along the way as well, but for whatever reason this season, his attitude hasn't been there, or he hasn't been doing enough of Val in training. A shame again when he had that opportunity as one of the part of the leadership team. But if we can get a decent fee for him, or most likely go to Udinese on loan, just wish him good well and hopefully replace him. Well, we might not necessarily need to replace him, but yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about it. Do you know what I mean? Some signings work, some don't, but he's no Kone, is he?
He's no Ishmael Kone. But Sam, Reece Healy, is that one you think we'll regret? Because it feels like, Sam, Healy's a striker that you're playing with a partner. Now, Val's not going to play as 2 strikers together. He's going to play that 3 up front with the lone striker through the middle. And Healy, he doesn't believe has the qualities and the ability to play that role. Number 1, would you agree with sending Reece Healy out, whether out on loan or permanently? And number 2, are you surprised?
I'm not surprised at all. No, he's going to want to be playing, and I do feel for him a bit. I think what's happened is I think it was probably a pre-Val signing. I reckon it was someone who the Pozzos probably bought in before the manager was appointed, if that makes sense. And I just don't think he's fitted at all well into the system. Not well, we haven't seen enough of him, but it's just clear that Val doesn't fancy him. Yeah, I do feel sorry for him, and it's probably best that he does move on. I think we've got a situation now where, because Val wants a sort of a small, intimate squad, we've seen Watford have some huge squads over the last few years where Roy Hodgson was having to send players home because he didn't need them during the sessions, if you remember hearing about that. But I think what Val wants now is every player to feel involved, even in sort of even having a small, compact squad. So I think if we are going to bring a striker in, something else that Lou mentioned was that it's no secret that Watford admire Kiefer Moore. I don't think we'd bring in a striker without getting rid of one first. So yeah, fair play to Reece Healy. Wanted to shout out his friendship with Matty Pollock as well, because I don't know if you see, but last week when Healy scored, Matty was tweeting about Healy, and yesterday Healy was tweeting about Matty Pollock coming on. So yeah, I'll miss that bromance, but it doesn't surprise me at all that we're looking to move him on.
Do you know what? We'll have to get Matty on the pod one day. I feel like he'd be absolutely great value. What a man. Lads, just final thoughts, because I saw, I did a little bit of digging on sort of our run now and over Christmas. So it's 4 games in 10 days for Watford coming up. Next up is away to Blackburn on the 23rd. And then obviously Boxing Day, we have Bristol City at home. I'm losing track of the games. And then after that, we have... so Bristol City at home, Stoke at home, and then Plymouth away on New Year's. Then the next 4 games for Watford. I'm going to throw it over to you, lads. So as it stands now, Watford are 9th, 4 points out of the top 6, and don't play a team above where they are in the table at this current moment in time until Leicester on February the 10th. 8 league games, 3 home and 5 away versus sides that are currently 11th, 14th, 20th, 16th, 22nd, 14th, 23rd, and 12th in the table. Good opportunity, Charlie.
What's the question? How many points?
Maybe. Do you know what? I'm not going to throw over how many points. But I tell you what a time to get a bit of momentum going into this run.
Yeah, I think Blackburn's going to be the toughest. They got hammered, didn't they, at Southampton yesterday? But I think going forward, they're one of the best team. They're one of the best teams. I think they're quite good at home, score a lot of goals. So I think that's going to be a tough test. QPR, now they've got Marti Cifuentes in, so they're a lot better.
Lovely pronunciation, by the
way. Marti Cifuentes. Yeah, sorry, I'm not. It's not a great answer, but I'm not really looking too far ahead. Just seeing how we get on. But let's say we get to that February stage, is it you say against Leicester at home, and we've carried our momentum, maybe pick it up kind of 2 points per game or something like that. We're going to be hovering around those playoff places. And I think Luke said it. And I think compared to last season, where it was just a poor league, you can tell like the playoff final, them lot in there. So I think this season's a lot tougher, and I think there's only 2 spots. Sunderland have brought in Mick Beale. I don't know how that's going to go. West Brom look pretty solid under Carvajal, so I think Leeds and Southampton are nailed on for those playoff places. Yeah, let's just enjoy the ride.
And do you know what? That was great managing in the media there from Charlie. Sam, final thoughts. Just looking ahead to Blackburn, which you're going to, right?
Yeah, I'll be at Blackburn. Like I say, I'm just trying to enjoy the ride. I think last season, one element of why I didn't enjoy it so much was because I was expecting to go into the season and win the league, particularly after beating Burnley and Sheffield United so early. And I think that ultimately put pressure. It was myself putting pressure on the team, which is why I don't think I enjoyed it as much. But I think now at this point, like I say, I'm falling back in love with Watford. I love this team. They look like they care for the badge, and I'm just trying to enjoy it for what it is. Blackburn got battered yesterday, but they'll definitely be looking for a response against us next weekend. Going to be a difficult game. I said it would be a difficult game at Preston. It's going to be a difficult game at Ewood Park, but hopefully we can go for a similar result.
Blackburn
predictions for Blackburn.
Predictions. I must apologise. I said to Charlie beforehand, I keep meaning to update the table, but
minus 2 points.
to speak.
All right, Charlie, what are you going to go for Blackburn away?
Desmond 2-2.
Shaky
3-1 Watford.
Ooh.
I want more. Charlie, you going?
I've done mine. I've gone 2-2.
No. Have you done? Are you going to Blackburn?
I'm not, no.
Oh, okay. I want more Yuko limbs, and I also, put it this way, if that prediction, I mean, we're going to get Sam through the gritty at some point. We didn't hit 100 likes, got to 51, pretty decent.
There's still time. Hit that like button.
I mean, look, there's 120 of you watching. It just takes 49 of you to hit the like button, and we're going to see a little bit of the gritty. So we've got about 2 minutes left.
I'm going to go 1-1. I think a draw. Yeah, to be honest with you, like I said, I think Blackburn are going to not sit back, but I think they're going to try and tighten up a bit after conceding 4 at the weekend. I really like their manager as well. They did a job over us earlier in the season. I know it's a very different Watford team from the team that we saw earlier on in the season, but yeah, I think it's going to be a really tough game.
Blackburn's John Dole Thomason, or John Dole Thomason's Blackburn Rovers. That was a great bit of presenting from me there. Thanks so much to everybody who watched. Really do appreciate it. Sam, Charlie, what a pleasure. Thanks to everyone who watched. You know what? Like the jackpot, it rolls over to next week's show with Sam doing the Mateus Martins gritty. But that's where we're going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for watching. If you're listening on audio, make sure to leave us a review. We really do appreciate it. Subscribe to WD18 on YouTube. Like the stream. Leave your comment. And I guess all there's to say is Saturday night's all right for 5. Have a great week. Take care and up the audits. You want.